Sup guys, Bo here. In this entry I want to talk to you guys about perspective and identity, right? And this goes on from what I've been essentially offering you guys in the previous few vlog entries that I've done. Where I've introduced kind of potential new ways of perceiving reality to you guys. So like the axes of perception, introducing this other modality of perception that we have. And just generally in my previous few videos, I've been just offering kind of new perspectives to you guys that perhaps kind of challenge the habitual ways of perceiving reality that you guys have been kind of socially conditioned into. Just kind of bringing your awareness to other possibilities, other than what you're, used to kind of investing in terms of, what to believe. But essentially, and I've been kind of explaining, the benefits of being open-minded and basically just flexible perspective, just building perspectives. Right, and I just want to clarify this in this video, right? So, open-mindedness, right, allows us to essentially see things in a different light. And that then allows us to extract more value, as I mentioned in the previous vlog entry, from, our immediate surroundings, from ourselves, It also, broadens our kind of thinking in terms of what is possible for us. Because before we start to expand our perspectives, right, when we're stuck in kind of like very limited perspectives and like kind of like singular identities for things, like when we're in vertical thinking, then we are not able to see, just what is possible, right? And like I mentioned also in the Becoming More Sensitive video, how to become more sensitive, we're also kind of a bit blind to what we actually want in terms of what is possible for us to have, right? When we have, a fixed identity that isn't necessarily ours, that we've been given, then we are unable to basically see, there's so much out there in the world that, we could potentially fall in love with, that we could potentially pursue, that we could potentially be as people, right? If we were to just basically develop flexibility in thinking and start to try on more and more differing perspectives from what we're used to, right? So potentially, being open-minded allows us to have more capacity to transform our lives and to transform our thinking and to transform how we view all of reality, right? So there's a lot of benefits to being open-minded, right? A lot more than just being, sticking to old ways of thinking anyway. But actually, the perspective and identity, right? I've been kind of using those two terms interchangeably, because usually that is how we perceive those two things. It goes back to basically what I explained about actions, thoughts, and being, right? There is actually you can actually discern between perspective and identity, right? There is a difference. Perspective, right, is actually an objective viewpoint, right? So a perspective is like similar to like just a camera angle, just a different way of looking at one thing, an objective way of looking at one thing. And an identification, is when we take that objective viewpoint and then we transform it into a subjective experience. So it becomes subjective, and there is an accompanying feeling state that basically signals and also facilitates that identification process, right? So essentially what I'm saying is perspective, there are many, many different perspectives, right? There is limitless potential. But our identification process is what collapses those potentials into reality, right? So how I similarly said about how when we have an emotional attachment to a thought, an identity, that is when that is what traverses between being to thought, thought to action, right? So that is what happens. And being open-minded allows us to basically have more to choose from, right? If identification is what basically manifests our reality. So I mentioned how, from a law of attraction standpoint, feeling, identification is what is the motor behind manifestation, right? Everything that exists in your reality is there because you keep it there, because you identify with it. So when we start to try on more perspectives, and we start to broaden our kind of perception, broaden our mindset, broaden our concept of what is possible, the range of possibility that we can perceive, then we have more to choose from in terms of transformation, right? And there are so many other benefits to this. We, like I mentioned, we can start to relate with more people, with differing viewpoints. We can start to, from a practical standpoint, we can start to be more creative. We can start to be more innovative, right? Because essentially, this horizontal axis of perception, flexible identity, that is what facilitates creativity. That is what facilitates innovation, right? Because if we think vertically, if we're stuck in singular identification, if we're stuck with seeing things in one light, then that's not a very kind of creative state of mind to be in. So there's that practical benefit as well. And really, it's learning to try on lots of different perspectives, so that you just have loads of kind of points of reference, and then picking the ones that are resourceful to you. Picking the ones that you like. Operating from a space of abundance. So instead of just clinging to things because you have no choice, like being a victim, you build like a pool of perspective, so you can always attack things resourcefully, any situation. And what does this look like? Well, instead of kind of doing things because you have to, how I mentioned about light and shadow motivations, instead of attacking things because you feel you have to, because you feel obligated to, because you feel you have no other alternative, having many different perspectives in your perception, in your awareness, allows you to basically pick one that makes you feel good. Pick one that actually changes your shadow motivation into a light motivation, right? So instead of kind of like, oh, why is my life so shit? Why do I have to do this? You can flip the script. You can reframe. You can say, oh, well, actually, maybe this won't be so bad. Maybe if I do this, people will respect me. Maybe I will respect myself. Maybe I will learn skills that will then be transferable, that I can, apply to different other areas, Maybe there is more to potentially what I could love, Maybe there are more passion areas that I have yet to be discovered. And maybe trying this new thing could be the one thing that I was after, or it could just be a step that, gets me closer to what, to that kind of yet undiscovered treasure in terms of, passion, right? So it is good to try on differing perspectives, right? And it just makes you a more enlightened person, right? And I use that term kind of a bit apprehensively, because, enlightenment can be taken the wrong way. But what I mean in this case is, it just makes you kind of a more open-minded person, in terms of you have a lot more, you have understanding on a lot more things. you know. And, you know, I think that's the way forward for people, you know. I think, and that is the way that our society is shifting. We're no longer sort of focusing on becoming, you know, specialized in areas. You know, obviously, you know, specialism is important. You know, you need people who are kind of dedicated and committed to certain areas that they have, you know, talent and, you know, experience and specialism in. But I think we're shifting into a new societal kind of paradigm. You know, people are becoming more kind of jack of all trades, in the sense that more people are just knowing how they're learning how to do differing things. They're you know, they're becoming passionate in differing, you know, areas, and you know, it's almost like, you know, a second kind of renaissance. You know, the Renaissance man. You know, the people who are well read and kind of knowledgeable in you know, a variety of different areas and disciplines and art and, you know, academic topics, you know, that kind of thing. And that is the way that I'm seeing society transforming, you know. And you know, and it's cool. It's really cool, you know, because when you start to, you know, when you start to learn different, like, loads of different things, you know, and not just pigeonhole yourself into, like, you know, oh, I should do this. Because, you know, a lot of the time when people talk about, you know, I'm going to pursue my dream, right? Not all the time, but like a lot of the time people are kind of, they have a preconception of what that is, and also there's a thing behind that thing which basically tells them that this is their identity. You know, this is what they should be doing. But really, you know, when we become more sensitive, we realize that yes, it is cool to go in the direction of symbolically what we believe is our you know, our dreams and passions. But there is in reality so much potential and possibility that we can either miss, or we can kind of accept, you know, kind of just receive into ourselves if we allow them. And being open-minded basically facilitates that, right? So cool. That's this video. Hopefully you guys have a deeper appreciation of what it means to be kind of just flexible in your thinking and being open-minded and just seeing things, just, you know, trying loads of different things on for size, you know, and seeing if it fits you, you know, and yeah, and just being being cool in that way. Alright, I'm gonna stop this one here. Hopefully that was helpful, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.